morning, everyone. Welcome to the University Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. It is my great honor to serve as your service leader this morning. My name is Joey Cole. To begin with this morning, I'd like to remind you that we are obviously on Zoom and that you will hopefully remain on mute throughout the service until you are ready to share at some point, and someone will call on you. That will make it easier for all of us, I think. At this point, I'd also like to ask you to grab your chalice if you have it nearby, because we will be lighting that at the beginning of our service, as is our tradition. But to begin with, I'm going to call on Martha in order to do our committee moments. Okay. And Martha, there you go.
Thank you, Joey. I'll look for as many hands as I can see, knowing that y'all will let me know if I miss something. So I see Mary Ann's.
Good morning. I'd like to report for the Social Action Committee, and I am going to defer first to Martha to tell us about our Faith and Action speaker today, and then to Joey Cole, who will give an update on our work with the Christian Service Center and our hygiene kits. So take it away, Martha.
All right. Well, thank you, Mary Ann. That was a great way to ensure that I did not forget to do that. So our speaker today is part of our UU Faith and Action that's sponsored by the Social Action Committee every second Sunday. And you'll hear a little bit more about Shirley Wang further on when she's officially introduced. But I'd like to thank Miguel Rodriguez, whom I see on here, for arranging a discussion group after the heinous hate crimes in Atlanta, where the Asian American women were killed. And it brought to our attention another area that we need to pay attention to and know more about. So we had a great discussion that day with probably 10 or 12 people and activists, and Shirley's here as a result of that conversation. So we look forward to hearing more from her in just a few minutes. Back to you, Joey.
Yes, and I'd like to report that, again, going with our emphasis this year on homelessness and affordable, hopefully affordable homes, we have collected and delivered 99 hygiene kits. We did that on Tuesday, Martha and I did. There will be more information about this in the notable news this week, but we delivered 99 full hygiene kits to the Christian Service Center for use for the people who are struggling with homelessness now, and who are able to get showers and so forth at the Christian Service Center. So now they have hygiene kits with all kinds of good stuff to help them as they continue in these difficult times.
It was great. And we just got to see their new laundry trailer. That was cool. Crystal.
Hello, happy Mother's Day. Just wanted to make everyone who might be interested aware that I will be hosting parent support group tonight for anybody who needs it, wants it, has some time to kill. Obviously, we are very open to the definition of parent. So if at any point in your life you felt like you were the caretaker of something else, you're welcome. I'm putting the details in the chat, and I look forward to see you guys tonight at 9 p.m.
Thank you. Thank you, Crystal. Okay, I'm saving, well, John for almost last, because I have another announcement as president, but we'll get back to that. I don't see, oh, Judith?
Just wanted to encourage everyone to be part of next week's service. It's a very special children, youth-oriented and bridging service for our kids that are graduating from high school and other children that rise up in the congregation. So just please attend. That's it.
Those are always some of the best services of the year. And John has some exciting news to share with some pictures.
Great. Good morning, everybody. Happy Mother's Day. Just wanted to, first of all, remind everybody that next Saturday is going to be a work day. Am I correct on that? That is the third Saturday, right? Yeah. So workday this
Yes.
coming Saturday from 9 to 12. If you can come out for 30 minutes, 3 hours, whatever you can spare, we'd appreciate it, especially if you have an expertise with laying tile or doing some electrical work or, outside, whatever. Please come and share your talents. One thing I wanted to let everybody know is that the church was painted. They finished the job last week. I think it looks really good. As you may remember, this is what it looked like before the paint job. And Patrick, please go to the next picture. That's what it looks like now. So you can see a lighter color for the main part of the building, and what's called an urbane bronze, kind of a highlight. They also painted the lettering and everything else. They did the back building as well. So I think it looks really good. And
Mhm.
I can't take credit for the colors. Actually, Kelly, Barry, and others were drawn to this color. We had 3 options from Sherwin-Williams, a colorist there, that proposed some of the colors, and we ended up going with this. So I think it was a really good choice. It looks great. So lastly, I just want to say, I know it's not joys and concerns, but I sent these pictures to Patrick just yesterday, and on a Saturday, and I didn't send them in the right file format, so I made it hard on him. But he put all this together last minute, and I think just while I'm at it, just everybody that's behind the scenes making Sundays happen every day. Paul Mata, Judith. I know I'm leaving folks off. Martha, Teresa, everybody else. Thank you so much.
Yay. Thank you. Patrick's skills are amazing. I was trying to do something with them too, and it's great how much we learn together. So thank you. My next announcements is behalf of the president and the board. I think I've mentioned it before, but kind of forgot to send the official notice. There will be our annual meeting is next Sunday after the RE meeting, or after the RE service. So I hope that you all come, enjoy, and get invigorated by the youth and our connections with each other, and then stay for the annual meeting as we elect officers for the new year, vote on our budget, and discuss who knows what else. So come and be surprised and engaged in our community as we work to getting back together, because I can feel it. It's not going to be as long as it's been. So we'll leave it at that for now. And I don't see any other hands or anybody else waving around. So back to you, Joey.
Okay, back to me. That means that it is time for opening words. Now, I am going with the theme today for opening words of Mother's Day. I mean, obviously, that's the big thing that's happening today. And in our Mother's Day, motherhood is like everything in our lives, has its ups, its joys, and its wonderful rewards, and its downs, like frustrations and craziness and whatever. So just like everything else, it's complicated. And with that, I am going to start us off on a lighter note. Patrick, if you would run the video.
I love when people come to my page and they comment on my videos and they say, why did you even have kids? If you're so angry and ornery all the time, why'd you even have children? Didn't you know having children was hard? And I have to pause before I reply to these comments. But what I have to tell you is that motherhood is a contradiction. Okay, motherhood is complicated because one minute you are looking at your child who is sound asleep and you are thinking to yourself, oh, that dear angel baby, the joy of every ounce of fiber of my being. Look how perfect that child is. The next day, that child is crawling all over you. You are wearing that child like a coat. Okay, you can't get 2 seconds. You are looking at that child and you're saying, please, for the love of all things holy, stop breathing in my open eye hole and sit on your own square of the couch. Okay, motherhood is a contradiction. It is complicated. Your child comes home and brings you an A honor roll certificate. You are looking at that child. I am so proud of you. You're so smart. You're a genius. Harvard, watch out. My child is coming for you. That same child next week is going to walk out of their room with their shirt on backwards, no pants, can't find their shoes. You've been trying to leave this house for 30 minutes. Child, let's go. We have got to go. Where are your shoes? Where are your pants? You are on the A honor roll. Please, for the love. Motherhood is a contradiction. It is so complicated. Okay? Last week, I looked at my husband. I said, you get every child out of this house. You go anywhere with them. I don't care. But I have lost all of my sanity. I need you to leave. I need you to go away for a while. 20 minutes after they left, I looked around. It was quiet. I said, oh, dear God, I miss them. Why? Why did I miss them? I had just seen them 20 minutes ago, and they were trying to crawl back into my uterus, and I needed them to go. Why? Why did I miss them? I texted that man, and I said, what time are you guys going to be back? What is wrong with me? I don't know. I'm a mom. That's what's wrong. Motherhood is a contradiction. Okay? I didn't have kids because I thought it would be easy and it would be love all the time. I had children because I wanted to procreate with my spouse and have the best of both of us come together into little beings that would eventually rule the world. But motherhood is complicated and it's hard and it's not easy. And these children whom you look at one second and you think, God, I couldn't love you anymore. My heart is going to burst. The next minute, they're going to paint you a poop Picasso on the wall with feces from their diaper, and you're going to want to run away and never come back because motherhood is complicated. It's a contradiction, okay? It doesn't mean we love our children less. It means we are human beings and we are normal, okay? They can drive us to the brink of insanity, yet we are going to love them and miss them the second they are gone, because being a mom is watching your heart walk outside of your body. For the love, people. We have children because we want to see love in the world. That doesn't mean that being a mom isn't complicated, and moms should have the right to vent and complain if necessary because it's really tough job. Motherhood is complicated.
Okay. Without further ado, I'd say it's time for, those were my opening words, by the way. Now it's time for you to get your chalice and join me, if you will, as we start off our service in the lighting of the chalice. I'm going to light mine right here on the screen. And if you'll join me in the words, in the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Okay. And now, in the very special words that we say every week to show our commitment to our community, love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. I'd like to welcome any guests we may have today. Let me see. Yeah, I'm at the right place. I'd like to welcome you to our service today. As a lay-led church, our services vary greatly from week to week. So we invite you to join us for a number of weeks in order to fully appreciate the breadth of our diverse offerings. You may hear an artist and community representative, as you will today, or a community activist, or an academic willing to share her or his expertise, or various clergy with varying points of view. This is because we believe, like Minister Richard Gilbert said, quote, ultimately, we are all theologians. We all ponder the great life issues as you use We celebrate common operational values that unite us even as we enjoy a diversity of perspectives that enables us to learn and grow religiously. Unquote. We invite you to learn and grow with us. And now, the time in our service that we do every week is called Joys and Concerns. It's a time when we share with each other significant happiness and significant problem or tragedies in our lives so that we can help one another and support one another in these times. I'm going to do Joys and Concerns this morning. thank you all. If you take a moment, please let us also hold in our hearts these joys and concerns, and also those that go unspoken. Just take a moment, please, of silence. Okay, let us come back. And now it is my absolute honor to introduce one of my favorite parts of the service, Time for All Ages, starring, yeah, our amazing and unbelievable,
No.
no accolade high enough, our fantastic RE director, Judith Stein Farrell. Ta-da!
Do you know what that does? What that sets me up for? Good morning, everybody. I need to tell you that I said at the committee moments that invited everyone to participate in next week's service as best as possible, because we've, among other things, we've got several young folks who are bridging, who are graduating from high school and bridging into their the next stages of life. And Happy Amin and Chris Reed and I had the absolute privilege yesterday of having a conversation with 3 of them. And I need to tell you that this congregation is a parent, right? Is a mother to all our kids. And we saw it yesterday, and you'll get to see some of it next week. And okay, I'm in tears now. So be sure to be part of that next week, because I think it will be special. Today, in honor of all the complications of motherhood, and in honor of the fact that we are a faith that takes meaning from, that looks at the meanings from other faiths, I'm going to give you a test, a pop quiz, as it happens. Take a look here, everybody. These are all mothers from a variety of religious faith backgrounds. And I invite you to tell me, to take a look and send some suggestions as to who is up there. And you can unmute and shout out who you see, and then we will talk about who they are.
Madonna.
Madonna, which one? The one that sings?
No, the mother of Christ.
Thank you. Who else do we see? Does anybody see anyone else that they recognize, that they know the name of?
I don't know the names. No, I don't.
No, not that I know the names of. They are all familiar.
The goddess Kali.
I did not bring Kali into, I almost had Kali up there, and then I did a little further research and realized she was not listed as one of the mothers of a religion.
Venus, you got Venus on there?
I do not have Venus up there, no.
Oh, I would have recognized her. She didn't have a head.
So we have Mary.
Paul Mata said Shiva.
Shiva is not up there at the moment.
Okay.
Is the first one Esther?
Nope. So I'll jump in for you, because at least clearly the one on the top left is one I was not familiar with at all. The name is Yamaya, and she is powerful and Orisha, or deity, in the Santeria religion. She's considered to be the mother of all things. She gave birth to the sun and the moon and the stars and many of the other deities, the Orishas. And she is nurturing and fiercely protective over her children. She's closely connected to the water and sea as powerful life forces on earth, and she is said to carry all experiences of women within her. So, on the top right, on the far right over there, is Tara. Among her many traits, and I'm going to give you the link in the chat later to where I got these facts. She's the Buddhist goddess, Tara, and is often referred to as the mother of Buddhas. She embodies compassion, wisdom, and purity, and in some depictions, she has 7 eyes that allow her to see all the suffering in the world. Some worshipers refer to her as Mother Tara, whose love is even greater than a mother for her children. And she is one of the first feminist goddesses in the world. She promised to keep coming back as a woman because some fool said she would never find nirvana as a woman. She had to come back as a man to find nirvana. So she said, yeah, I'll show you. So, the one on the bottom left is Demeter, the goddess from ancient Greek, whose name literally means earth mother or corn mother. Demeter presides over farming and agriculture, and particularly the cultivation of grains, the cultivation of grains. And she's also revered as the devoted mother of Persephone for searching far and wide for her daughter who was captured by Hades. In the bottom center is Durga, the supreme mother goddess in Hinduism. She represents unified divine energy. And in addition to her compassion, Durga is a fierce destroyer of injustice. I think as Unitarians, we can relate to her. While evil forces threatened the existence of the gods, they came together to bring Durga into being. So let me say that again. When evil forces threatened the existence of the gods, they came together to bring Durga into being. They made her happen because they needed her. I think that is a powerful message. And then finally, as Roy very wisely knew, Mary is on the bottom right, not considered a goddess, but she holds the key role of sacred mother in Christian faith. Like her son, Mary came into the world through a miraculous conception, and her role in Jesus's life, death, and resurrection made her a highly venerated figure among Christians and particularly among Catholics. So that is your time for all ages lesson today. And I will not grade you in your lack of knowing, since you hadn't been practicing and hadn't been showing up in RE class for the last year. So, but something to consider going forward. I'd like you to think about what the common thread is between all those mothers, and if that has something to do with motherhood in your life.
Judith, I wanted to make one comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a beautiful, I'll give you a better picture of Tara, because I have a beautiful statue of Tara, and that's a terrible picture of her.
I was just looking for quick depictions that were also copyright free. So I did not want you, I pulled from a website that allows us to use them. So not copyright free, but rights are granted to use them more accurately. So,
great.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was lovely. We are learning more and more about mothers every day. Thank you. Now for our interlude and offering. This is the time where we show our good stewardship and offer, and any offerings obviously are very well received. You can go to our website, universityuuf.org. I think that's correct. And you can click on the donate button there. You can do it old-fashioned way and send a check to our physical address. But we hope that you will continue to support us, because that's how we keep this place going. whether this place is online or in person. Thank you. And now we'll listen to some music. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, I would like to get started so we have as much time as possible for the presentation today. It is my great pleasure to introduce our speaker today. Shirley Wang is an operatic soprano and a pianist who performed across the U.S., including Carnegie Hall. During 2020, she started an interview series, Tuesday Conversations with Friends, featuring performing artists, composers, writers, dancers, actors, directors, and others who make the world more colorful. Ms. Wang will present original poetry and play for us, and as a member of our Asian American community, will share her perspectives on the recent and not so recent Asian American Pacific Islander matters. Ms. Wang?
Hello, everybody. I'm not sure if you can see me yet.
Yes.
Great. And thank you for having me. I'm so appreciative for the opportunity. And I want to share something with you before I start the official part of the presentation, which is a tribute, a song about mothers in Chinese. And for the Chinese school systems, there are 5 areas we covered, which we consider to be equally important. The first one is ethics and integrity. The second one is knowledge and wisdom. The third one is physical discipline. And the fourth one is community. The fifth one is the arts. And this song is taught to all children in the schools. And because it's an ancient Chinese poem from the 8th century and from the Tang Dynasty. And it also incorporates music and the whole idea of respecting and appreciating your mother and the idea of gratitude. So if you would share that, I think Patrick will have to play that. So let's go. 有 and I really appreciate the opportunity to share this with people. And so, contrary to popular beliefs, the Chinese education system is not focused on STEM, which later on we'll touch upon why that becomes a perception in the Western world. And I like to share something. One of the things I really loved during this time is I found it's wonderful to have the opportunity to allow my friends and also my just everybody sharing what they do best. And so this is a poem a friend of mine wrote in response to the shooting in Atlanta. And so let's take a look. Sisters in Unity by Melanie Barton Giles. Advocate for justice, we are women, sisters all. It doesn't matter where we are from, support one another, stand up for one another, stand against hate, stand for the good. We are stronger together, we're smarter together, we're better together. Our diversity is our strength. Collaborate, contribute, share. Pass the torch, make a friend, learn from one another, talk to someone new, listen to her story, tell your story. Words matter. Love matters. Make the world a brighter place. We rise or fall together. And so I want to thank Melanie, who's not here, but if this becomes available to watch later, I want her to be able to watch that. Because I think at the end of the day, what we want is to be seen. We don't want to trade in a form of hatred or something that's not the best and most pleasant thing with another. What we want is we want to trade it in for something that's far more positive, far more kind and loving. And so the topic I like to share is I don't see colors with a question mark, because if you don't see colors, then you don't see me. And so I think a lot of things have changed. We have all become more and more aware, get to know each other more, which is beautiful. And I think the most wonderful thing is the desire to do even better, to do more. So that really starts with the education and awareness. And for you to get to know us, we also need to be willing to share. I wish I shared that song in the beginning to more as an example. You get to see the art forms that Chinese people have experienced and developed over thousands of years, the language. And what's really neat is that melody, believe it or not, was composed by Johannes Brahms. And actually, it wasn't really composed by him. It was used by him. That was a school song for the students union in Germany. So you see how we can really all come together, but understanding the education and awareness and being open to this is really, I think, the first step. And Asian Americans, we are indeed American. And but we do also come with our background that does also make us different. And I think that's the beautiful thing about America is we have this beautiful palette of so many colors, and we are able to coexist. And I think sometimes we talk about, there's this funny saying, we say this about our family members sometimes, oh, we love them, but we don't always like them. And that's what acceptance and unconditional love is really about, right? We accept each other. We see the differences. We don't have to like everything, but we don't have to hate the person or act on it. So, but here comes the question. Why don't you know me as who I am? Why do people have the need to say things like, I don't see colors? Did you know that Asian American history is not included in the K through 12 education curriculum here in Florida? And it's kind of interesting because it's not just in Florida. And now, Asian people, we tend to be very resourceful. We're far more impatient than you realize. So for most Asian American families, when we recognize, hey, our stories are not taught in schools, we think it's the fastest if we just teach it to our children. And so we do that. And but unfortunately, that also means sometimes changes are not made outside of the community. So, but you can help to change that. And because we are making one of the members in the Asian American community in Central Florida has made a petition. Now, this petition is to include Asian American history in the K through 12 curriculum. And I actually popped a YouTube link in the chat box that has the entire slides I'm using today. And so you can access and you can come back and also still maybe write down and access the link to for this petition. And we need more signatures so we can pass it as a bill, not just a suggestion. And changes take time. And we need to start the process because it's not going to happen today. It's going to happen over time. And the changes we're making is not just so the Asian American history makes into the curriculum, but the next generation of children have a better opportunity to get to know who we are, and for the Asian American children to get to know who they are as well. And here's the petition and the link again. And like I said, I dropped the whole presentation in the chat box, so you can definitely go back and look through it. And in the meantime, by the way, as I shared earlier, Asian Americans are far more impatient than you realize. That's why we like to be efficient. There are 7,241 search results for Asian American history on PBS's website. And this is an incredible resource for Florida educators and Floridians alike, or people outside of Florida. We don't have to wait for the petition to go through. We don't have to wait for the bills to change. We can start now, but do sign the petition so we can move forward. And I made a tiny URL for you because the search result URL was this long with so many numbers and symbols, and if you do one thing wrong, you're done. So I made a tiny URL for you. And so you can go to tinyurl.com/PBS Asian American, and it will take you to all those search results. And some of them are actually all of them look so incredibly fascinating. And I think I can learn a lot from that as well. But however, let's take to the next idea. From the law's point of view, when does an incident become a hate crime? Because it's one thing to get to know us. And there are reports that states there has been 0 incidents reported in Central Florida for hate crimes for many years. So let's talk about what does that really mean? And Spectrum News had an interview with me to specifically dig into that. So from the law's point of view, when does an incident become a hate crime? There are actually 2 criteria. Those 2 both have to happen in order to constitute the hate crime, not one or the other. One is proof of racial bias. Examples would be racial slurs, picture of a swastika drawn on the wall, etc. And this is from Orange County Sheriff's Department, by the way. And so, what that actually means is you have to have proof of that. It cannot be implied. It has to be actually expressed. And it also has to be a crime by itself. For example, physical assault, breaking in and entering. So let's say if somebody decides to paint a huge swastika inside their house on the wall, facing a bay window, and every night they will open the curtains, turn on the lights so everybody can see, it is not a hate crime. Because it only fulfills one of the 2 requirements. It is not a crime by itself, whatever you do inside your house. So if somebody, I want to share a story with you. March 2020, this is the beginning of pandemic, a few days before the state actually shut down. I was sick from allergy, and I was coughing, and just because it actually turned into a lung infection, I went to the doctors. I went to Publix to fill my prescription, standing in line. And somebody started walking towards me because I was wearing a mask and I was trying to observe the 6 feet distance that was recommended by CDC. And this person got closer and closer to me, and I started backing further and further away. And this person started to point the finger at me and say, "You are full of propaganda. This is your fault." And now, by the way, this is not a hate crime because it's not a crime by itself. And also, there was no racial slurs involved. So I start to back towards, where there are shorter shelves in front of the pharmacy. And from the windows, I was literally touching the shelves because I didn't have any further to go. And this person just got closer and closer to me and wanted to be in my face with a finger pointing and saying those things. And since I was in line, I was actually surrounded by people, but no one stepped in. No one said anything. Everybody looked away, tried their best to pretend nothing was happening. And just so fate will have it, since I was there to get medication to cure my cough from the allergy, I broke into this horrible fit of coughing. And this poor person became so incredibly frightened. And because the person doesn't want to get sick with COVID-19. So then that was what got the person to start actually running away as fast as they could because they didn't want to catch whatever bug I was having. And so that was interesting because there are no zero incidents reported because let's find out why, right? So how about when you see something, what do we do? If you see something, please say something. Even if you don't physically do something beyond saying something, you're empowering the person who's in the situation. And I'm saddened to say that was not my only experience in Florida, experiencing something similar to this. And it's been happening for years before the pandemic as well. And there were times I did call the police department and they said there is nothing they can really do. Potentially increase patrol around my house if it happens near my house or at my house, but because it was not a crime, there's nothing I could do. And so that's something to ponder. So since what happened in Atlanta, Georgia, our Central Florida community, as well as nationwide, have had a movement of creating more and more bystander intervention training. And we had one that was done here in Orlando, Florida, and the Sheriff's Department was involved. And again, this is a YouTube link. You can find this and find it later. And there are some resources I'd like to share with you. Who can you call? 407-836-HELP is the Orange County Sheriff's Office's non-emergency number. And I didn't know until really a few weeks ago. Orange County Sheriff's Office's website, www.ocso.com. Asian Americans Advancing Justice, AAJC, and this is their website. Hashtag Stop Asian Hate. And this is actually a very resourceful, very good resource. The www.stopasianhate.com has links to numerous other organizations, which are fantastic resources, and it has a lot of educational materials that helps other people as well as Asian Americans ourselves to know what we can do. And I want to mention that next two resources are here locally, and they have been just being so selfless and truly helping the community. And Walam Kung Fu Temple, www.walam.com, they were the ones who actually put together, hosted, and organized the intervention workshop that I mentioned earlier a few minutes ago. And so please do visit their website. And the next one is by my friend Shirley Wang. Her name is so much like mine that sometimes when we text each other, the initials are the same, so we don't know who texted who for a moment. And I met her when she started this magazine, Asia Trend, here. And she wanted to give a voice to the Asian American community here in Central Florida. This is asiatrend.org is the website. There are so many classes and outreach activities that everybody can participate to learn about the Asian cultures, to learn about the languages, to have an opportunity to experience this with us, as well as the effort to bring the Asian Americans together in the community, because we are indeed actually a little guilty because the Asian Americans in this community aren't always connecting with each other. So this is, and I want to thank you for having me here because we have done a lot since then to try to connect and unite within our own community. But this, it is very important we also share outside of community so you get to know us. And but as I have shared in the story earlier, what happened with me in the beginning of the pandemic, As wonderful as those resources were, as wonderful as the recommendations of the sheriff's office was, it is not what happens in the real world. I don't remember what the non-emergency number is when this person was doing this. And I was physically ill, emotionally threatened. Frankly, I don't think I could think that far about, let me Google what that number is. Let me think about, oh, I should report. And they wouldn't come anyway because it's non-emergency, right? It's not a 911 call. And so it would be really, really helpful if we all raised our voices together in a peaceful way. And I raised my voice to share my experiences, and you will raise your voice if you see something. And instead of just kind of try to look away. And now I want to talk about stereotypes. Every ethnicity group experience their own stereotypes. It's not a monopoly for any one particular group. And one of the stereotypes we experience as Asian is what we call the model minority. It's an interesting thing because it sounds like a compliment, right? You are a model. You are the kind of minority we want in this country. And this actually started back in the 1960s. And it's the model minority myth actually hurts Asian Americans and even leads to violence. Because in the 60s, they started pushing this concept of model minorities. The Asians and the Jewish, look at them. They are the model minorities. They're doing so well. They do well with their jobs. They do well with their education. They're financially secure. They're not violent. So what that does was they were speaking and comparing this to other minority groups and say, look, they're better. So now, if you look at all the Asian hate crimes across the country, it is not from one particular ethnic group. So we're getting it from everybody. We're getting this from the Caucasian people. We're getting this from the Latinos. We're getting this from the Black people, and it's from every direction. So the model minority myth actually hurts us, and it leads to violence. And each ethnic group has a different brand of racism that we deal with. And I want to talk about a few points that particularly addresses what this means to Asian Americans. Myth number one, we don't encounter racial biases within educational institutions or workplaces. Now, when it comes to educational institutions, Asian Americans are often glossed over when it comes to diversity-based scholarships or admissions. We're not considered to be part of who need that. And so we're overlooked. And what about in workplaces? Truth number one, we run into the bamboo ceiling, and we're often not included in the diversity initiatives. And it is, I have the privilege of working with a lot of organizations, and I get to see the compensations for people, and those are professional jobs. And consistently, I see Asian Americans are anywhere between $10,000 to $50,000-$60,000 lower in annual pay in comparison to their counterparts of any other ethnicity groups. And those are professional jobs. So if somebody is getting paid $110,000 as an Asian American to be a software developer of this particular skill set, you will find within the same organization for the same jobs, somebody else is getting paid $170,000. So it's a lot more invisible as an issue because those are not poor people, so to speak, but it is not actually fair, right? And so, and also when organizations, when corporations and other organizations want to promote diversity initiatives, they often feel if you bring an Asian person into this particular initiative, it's not, quote unquote, powerful enough. Myth number two, stereotype promise. We have the good kind of stereotype, so to speak. And the truth, number 2.1, is we are invisible to a larger society. Truth number 2.2, and we are forever foreigners. And because we are one of the few that doesn't matter how many generations we have been here. I've known Asians who are third generations here. They don't speak any Asian languages because their grandparents were born in the United States. And but we are forever considered as foreigners. A big part of it is because of the way we look. And when somebody is forever considered as foreigners, often we are not seen as fully human. And we are not to be trusted. Now, this toggles back to the bamboo ceiling I was talking about in corporate America and even in the politics in America is if you don't feel a person can be trusted, there is a ceiling that may not be visible to the eyes, but a person will be passed over. And I just want you to remember we are humans indeed, and we are here, and we have been here. And there are some other stereotypes which are very difficult and dangerous. The women are hypersexualized, objectified, and dehumanized. And it was interesting because a shooting in Atlanta, six of them were Asian women, and four of them were Korean Americans. And the shooter claimed he was having a really bad day. And he was eliminating temptations. So the statement of eliminating temptations, it was not referring to any person, any human beings. The women were not seen as people anymore. And as a response to this, the Korean Americans in Atlanta area who had their own newspaper did their own investigation because this was not published with publications outside. For the four Korean Americans who were killed, one was in her 70s. Two were in their 60s. The youngest one was in their 50s with sons who were teenagers with one son who is a teenager and the other one was in her early 20s. So when we talk about women of that particular age group, we don't tend to think of them as this really sexy babe, right? Who is just this temptress. But somehow those women were called temptations and they were killed for it. Highly sexualized, objectification, dehumanization. And the men are considered to be nerdy. And they are often considered to be too young for promotion, no matter how accomplished they are. And they are often also described to be not aggressive enough to have leadership qualities. So, as you see, those stereotypes, they are not innocent. They are harmful indeed. And let's look at myth number 3. We do not need anti-racism programs or protections for Asian Americans. The truth number 3, the answer to that is microaggression. So let's take a look. What is microaggression? Microaggression is the everyday verbal, nonverbal, and environmental slights or insults, whether intentional or unintentional, which communicates hostile, derogatory, or negative messages to people based solely on their marginalized group membership. So we get funny questions like, where are you really from? Oh, another funny question. Why is your English so good? I remember going into auditions for opera productions, and which are in languages other than English anyway. And we will have this whole conversation in English, and they would say, Miss Shirley, would you please sing something in English for us? Because we would like to make sure you can sing in English. Here I just offered arias in French, German, Italian, and we are having this conversation in English, and they said, we need you to have English on your list of repertoire because we need to know and we need to hear that you can sing in English. So that was kind of interesting, right? And other funny comments are like, oh, they don't think you're white, or you're almost white. Now, I've heard that so many times from my non-Caucasian friends. They feel they were so marginalized because of their ethnicity that they say this to us all the time. You don't count. You're almost white. and they think you're white. But none of my white friends ever come to me and say, oh, you're white, because that is not true. That's not how we're perceived. So it comes from all different directions for us, not a one single direction. And these experiences are often described by non-Asians as uncomfortable, but not racist. They're uncomfortable, but they're not racist. And therefore, the impacts it has on us are not always recognized and acknowledged. And our society's characterization of race-based discrimination does not include the experiences of Asian Americans. And, so when it's during good times, we deal with it. But when there are issues like the pandemic we're experiencing, those underlying brewing dynamics become extremely harmful because they were not addressed. And when we try to address them, we're brushed away very often. Many times I share experience with my friends, and my friends would say, you're just being sensitive. And our history books do not include Asian American history. A big part of that is because of what I'm sharing right now. This microaggression, this feeling of it's uncomfortable, but it's not racist. And I hate the idea of bringing up examples of violence in our Asian American history, but it almost seems like we have to go there in order to get the attention. For example, when Chinese Americans were lynched, the Chinese massacre of 1871 in Los Angeles, the Japanese internment camps, something a little bit softer, but really serious, the Chinese exclusion laws that prevent Asians from immigrating to the United States. And worse yet, they will bring us here, they will give us work visas, but they won't let us become citizens.
New solar plus
And
battery backup technology available that was
when you're
just
not a
released on the
citizen
market
of
after
the country
billions of
you're
dollars.
in for 20 years, you have no voting rights. Throughout the history, who else didn't have voting rights? The slaves and women. And it's very difficult. And a lot of people don't realize that immigration works in a very funny way. Every country has their own line of immigration to come into the United States. And for instance, the people who are coming from India, most of them are not allowed to apply for a visa or a green card unless they're in the technology or medical field. But once they come here, they have to get in line of the people who are coming from India and applying for those specific visas. And those lines move tremendously slowly. I know software developers from India who have been in the United States for 20 years and who have been in line to get their green cards for 12 years and are still waiting. They're contributing members of the society, but they have no rights as citizens. And the people often have the stereotype to say the Chinese people and the Asian people, they're so smart, they're so strong with STEM. What they don't remember is we weren't allowed to come to this country unless we were we were specialists and experts in science, in scientifically based fields. They come to our country, they hold very, very strict screening process. You have to prove you are at the top of the field in your country in those areas before you were allowed, granted an application. And then you were given a visa to come to this country. So it's not that all Chinese people are smart with STEM. And remember earlier I mentioned about the focus of Chinese education is not in STEM. But those are the only people the United States government allowed to bring into this country. Another fun story is why there are so many Chinese restaurants from the early days. So when my ancestors were brought to the United States to build railroads, we look left and look right and go, whoa, this is not a lie forever. We will never get out of this unless we do something. And become business owners seems to be our way out. So Chinese people started saving money. Those railroad workers, they start saving money and pulling their money together. They discovered if they opened up a restaurant personnel was considered to be special talents. And you can apply for visas to bring special talents aliens with special talents is the actual term. I think it's kind of funny. Aliens with special talents. I imagine people look, or those little creatures that look green with big heads and 3 eyes, right? And that you can apply for a visa to bring people over here. So those Chinese people started opening up restaurants, and they started to apply for visas to bring over their family members to work as restaurant personnel. And in the meantime, they needed to have letters to verify, to prove that they are legitimate businesses. And they were able to get letters from the vendors because the Chinese people always pay cash. So they were the best customers who were buying a lot on a regular basis, who always paid at the moment point of purchase. And that is the reason why we have so many Chinese restaurants throughout the United States. In the oddest parts of the country, you get this rural town, and in the middle of the town, you can always find a Chinese restaurant. That is the history behind it. It's an immigration story. And, and it's fun to share those facts, and I love to be able to share those things. So I want to thank you for giving me a voice to share. And I really hope things don't always have to get to be terrible before it is considered a problem. Where are your neighbors? Where are your friends? Where are your colleagues? Where are your sister-in-laws? And it's wonderful to be seen and to be known. And I want to thank all of you, because you are the wonderful people who want to hear and see. And but let's see what we can do to take this further outside of those Zoom rooms of people who want to be aware, who want to help. And I, by you inviting me here today, I feel the love. I feel your desire to want to get to know me. And I'm so appreciative towards that. And so I think there must be questions, and I like to open it up to questions, because today is Mother's Day. I wanted to make sure I share enough information, but still leave room for the mothers to have time to celebrate, and not on an empty stomach during lunchtime. So I think we can go into the next part where we can maybe, or maybe later on when you have a Q&A. Right.
Thank you, Shirley. That's what I was thinking. We're gonna end the service, but those people who want to stay on and ask questions will have time then. We're a little bit over, so we are going to formally end, but yeah, we definitely would love you to stay, and I'm sure there will be questions for sure.
Right. Thank
We've
you.
gotten some lovely feedback in the chat already. So.
Oh.
Okay. So let's see. It is now time for us to extinguish the chalice, I believe, or are we going to have closing music first? I can't remember the order of the. Okay, I think we will extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And for closing music, we have the song Phoenix Rising, which was composed by Chrissy Ricker and is played by Shirley Wang. Patrick or somebody?
right.
Muted.
Oh, who's muted?
You're muted, Joey.
Yeah.
Joey.
muted.
I'm just saying how wonderful the music is. How terrible of me to forget to turn on my mic. How wonderful the music is and how stirring, and yet how beautiful it was also to watch you play. It's just lovely. My closing words are brief. I want you to know they're not in a funny vein, but because mother and child relationships are complicated, they're not always positive, I know. So I looked for a mother image to which we could all relate and found the following. Today is my Earth Day. Come sit in my lap. Listen to the woodpecker learning to tap. I'm your Earth. I'm your mother. Come celebrate me by spending today climbing a tree, sketching a violet, walking on sand. Play in the dirt. I'll tickle your hand. Today is my Mother's Day. What should you do? Give me one gift. Spend more time with you. That said, we're going to open it up now to questions. So anybody who has some questions.